So we're going to try and do just a brief demonstration about how to assemble your timeline project using Google Docs. If you have a Gmail account, Google Docs is already available to you. You may or may not have used it. You just, from your Gmail page, you can just click on Documents, and it'll take you to a tab like this. And so over to the left hand side here you see Create New, and we'll go to Presentation, and it should launch another tab. I'm using Firefox for my browser. You can use whichever you want to use, and it'll bring up basically what is essentially a free PowerPoint kind of presentation software. So this is great if you don't have PowerPoint on your computer. So it starts off with one slide, and if you right click, then you can add another slide. So you're going to generally end up with at least 8 slides. One slide, I would recommend one slide for each topic that you pick. Remember, your topic can be a person, a congressional act, a phenomenon, but basically put them in order of when they occurred. And we're going to start with and you also, I would like you to also include a title slide saying RTV 115. So we'll go ahead and do that on this first slide here. RTV 115, and then timeline project. And then please, in the subtitle, or if you want to add another text box of your own, please put your name. So I'll just put mine just for demonstration purposes. Now, if you don't like that white background, you don't have to use that white background. We'll go to Change Background. I just right click and I go to Change Background, and then I can basically I'm going to use just to start with, I'm going to use a different color for my background, and I want to apply that to all slides, even though right now I only have the one slide. So that's a little bit better than the plain Jane. And you can use images if you have a specific image you want to use. I would kind of shy away from using images just because they might be a little distracting from the content on the slide. So there's my first slide. Then I'm going to go over here, right click, do New Slide, and it gives you a bunch of different templates for the next slide that you want to use. I think in this case I'm going to use the caption one, but you can use whatever you want to do. Now, so for my first topic or item that I want to feature in my timeline, I'm going to pick DeForest, the man who invented the Audion, okay, which was the first device that could actually amplify sound and control electrons. Okay, so what I want to do, I'm going to actually open a new tab in Firefox. I'm going to go to my Google search bar. You can just go to google.com, and I'm going to do a search on DeForest. And I cannot remember the gentleman's first name. So, Forest, there we go, Lee DeForest. Lee DeForest. And do a search, and then it'll bring up a bunch of different links. I'm going to kind of narrow that down and click on images, and it'll bring up just images of Lee DeForest. So I kind of like that one, so I'm going to click on it and click on it once more, and there's a picture of Mr. Lee DeForest. So generally speaking, for educational purposes, you're okay for the most part to use images in this manner. Okay, we're not going to be selling these presentations or anything like that, so I think we're falling under fair use here. So I'm going to right click and save image as, and once you do that, it'll bring up a window. What I would recommend doing is navigate to your desktop and create a new folder specifically for this project, so you can basically consolidate all your images and find them easily. I'm just going to put images and then timeline, so I know exactly where they are. And now I can see that I'm in that folder, and name it appropriately. As long as you know what the file is, you're going to be able to get to it pretty easily. So I'll hit save, and there it is. Okay, and now I'm going to come back to my timeline. I'm going to click in here to add my caption. I'm going to say DeForest invents Audion, and then the date is significant. We need to make sure we're including the date. So DeForest invents Audion 1906. Okay, and that text box is a little too low, so I highlighted it, and you can either move it with the mouse or you can highlight it like so and then use the arrow keys to kind of fine tune your positioning. Anyway, so now we're going to come in and we're going to actually add, I want to insert an image, and you see I clicked on insert an image option. So I'm going to browse in my computer because it's already saved to the computer, and you can navigate to it if it doesn't pick it up automatically, but it sees that that's the most recent place I put something. So I'm going to open that up, and it'll put the location in there, and then hit OK, and it should bring in, there's my shot of DeForest. Okay, pretty simple. Now I'm going to resize that. If you click on the corner here and kind of drag, you'll see that the dimensions get all out of proportion. So I'm going to Control Z to undo that. And then if you hold down Shift when you're trying to resize, it's going to resize it based on the correct proportions. So it's not going to distort the image. So I like that, maybe a little bit bigger. And there we go. Okay, and now I'm going to do a search on the Audion tube, because that's what we're kind of highlighting in this little slide here. Click on images again, and there's a shot of the Audion tube. So I'm going to right click, save image as DeForest Audion. I'm just going to name it Audion and save it in the same folder. Come back in if it'll let me. It's taking a while to respond. Oh, there we go. And I'm going to do the same thing. Now you can either insert an image, or you can right click on the slide and insert image. I'm going to browse again, and there's my Audion tube. And hit OK. And there's my picture. Now I'm going to resize that a little bit. And now generally speaking, the minimum requirement is that you only have to have one image per topic that you select. If you have more, that's good. The more visually appealing it is, the better off your end product is going to be. And then now I'm going to insert a text explanation. We don't want, this is just the label, but I want to know why this is significant. So you need to tell me, I need to know that you know why the Audion is significant. So the Audion was, and you can draw from the PowerPoint lectures and the notes that are in our eCollege presentations. So the Audion was a vacuum tube, oops, can't spell vacuum very well, that could amplify sound, the first of its kind. Now that's a little off kilter there, so I'm going to kind of expand this out a little bit, and I'm going to highlight that and see if I can come up here and actually center that text so that it kind of looks a little bit better. It's still a little bit off though, isn't it? So I'm going to kind of move it to the side and see if I can get it centered up a little bit. Then move it down, and there's my first slide. And so basically you're going to end up with at least 9, actually you're going to end up with 9 slides total. Your title slide plus a slide highlighting each topic that you selected. So that's a general idea of how to do your project in Google Documents. Once you're done with the project, and I would save it often. It automatically will save it every couple minutes or whatever, but I'm going to save it. But now the big thing is to go to File and then Save or Download as PowerPoint. And this is what I want you to actually, this is the file that I actually want you to submit in the Dropbox, or you can email it to me directly. But this is the file that I want. I want a PowerPoint. If you're going to do it in Google Docs, then I would like a PowerPoint file. So I'm going to download as PowerPoint. It's going to ask me what do I want to do with this file. I'm going to save it and then put it where you're going to be able to find it. Now mine went into my downloads file, but as long as you save it to where you know where to get to it, then that's the file that I want you to submit to your Dropbox. So that's a brief demonstration of how to do it using Google Docs.